Yo, what's happening everybody, KingGBL here, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today I'm going to be showcasing my run in the Hisui Cup from 23:39 up to over veteran. I gained roughly 170 ELO with this team yesterday, in about 4 sets. We had a 3-2, 2 4-1s and a 5-0. So today I'm going to be showcasing the battles, and it's a very interesting team as well. I do have to give a shout out to Z's Wireless. I seen him using this team while I was watching its action stream on Twitch. The team is Lucario with Bullet Punch, which is really interesting. I'll talk about that a little bit more later on. We've got Sucker Punch, Spiritomb, and we have Drifblim with Astonish. Really cool team. Basically Lucario double ghost, Steel double ghost. We're weak to fighting in the lead, and we've got 2 Pokemon in the back which cover fighting. Pretty sort of normal team comp. And the good thing about the back 2 Pokemon as well is they cover the weakness to Gastradon quite nicely. Lucario does very well at covering the weakness to like dark Pokemon. So yeah, once again, very balanced team, and I had a really good run with it here yesterday. With all that being said, let's hop on into the battles. So to kind of touch on the Lucario for a second, Bullet Punch is a really good idea because it does very well into the fairies, right? Spiritomb and the Drifblim are somewhat weak to like Charm. In this cup you'll see the occasional Togekiss and a few other different fairy types. The really cool thing about Lucario with Bullet Punch is it just completely destroys it. You can basically pop the whole way through it, or you could go for Thunder Punch. It's really good into the Drapion, and the pacing's very nice. I do find it quite nice because of course Bullet Punch was buffed this season. Having this move in Lucario with decent pacing and decent damage, look how much damage it's doing to Drapion here. It's very, very nice, and I think it worked out very well for this team. I think the one issue you might run into is if you do start running into Henry's team, which he hit Legend with yesterday. He's running Apache Risu lead, so if you do happen to run into that, it's going to be a little bit tricky with Bullet Punch. I did find there was a lot of teams that were basically double or triple weak to Lucario with fighting moveset, so like you definitely could just run the Force Palm moveset if you wanted to, but I thought the Bullet Punch gave you some flexibility in some different areas, and I did quite like that. Like I said, having a 2-turn move instead of a 3-turn move, having good fast energy generation plus decent damage as well. It does leave you a little bit vulnerable to some things like Bibarel for example, where you would hope that's an amazing match for Lucario, but it gets a little bit hairy if you don't have the fighting moveset, so it's a bit of a trade-off. You can use either moveset, but generally speaking I liked having the extra play into Ghosts, and I thought the Bullet Punch worked out very nicely for me here. As you can see, Spiritomb's doing very well. I've got a terrible IV Spiritomb. It's still done the job. Honestly, you can just build whatever Spiritomb you have if you haven't got one traded. I don't think it matters too much, and I think Spiritomb is one of the best Pokemon in this meta actually. There's a lot of Ghost-type Pokemon in this meta. You'll see a lot of Drifblims, there's a few Dusknoirs around. And the good thing about the Drifblim matchup right here, as you can see, is the opponent has to build all the way up to 6 Mudslaps to threaten a good move. So that's a lot of turns, but you can actually just outpace it. It's 8-7 for our moves, the Shadow Ball and the Rock Tomb. As you can see, we do get the Rock Tomb quicker this time around, but generally speaking, the good thing about this Pokemon is you can basically debuff the opponent if you need to. This is a fantastic matchup right here for Lucario, by the way, which is another kind of decent reason why Lucario is doing well in this meta. I just felt like Spiritomb was really flexible, and yeah, I highly recommend it. The opponent comes back into Gastradon. This is complete RPS. I think if you're using Gastradon in this meta, you basically have to use Water Pulse. I used it for a couple of battles, and I was using Water Pulse. You will see enough Drifblims where it's pretty necessary. And we're actually seeing a decent amount of Abomasnows in this cup as well. The opponent actually just takes the Icy Wind. I'm going to get off this next one right away, and we should be in a fine position to win this game here. We still have the Lucario in the back. We can actually just farm this all the way down anyway. That's good games. We get a Drapion lead in the next one. The opponent brings in a Gastradon. Can I just say, never safe swap Gastradon in this cup. It's an absolutely terrible idea. We go 4-1 in the first set. I was having a negative set. I was using a Palkia team. I was having a terrible time. I swapped over to this, and suddenly just my luck turned around. And the opponent stays in for a long time against the Spiritomb safe swap. You don't really want to do that against this because, as you can see, we get the shield right away. I can actually just shield up the first move here because we win CMP, right? So we could shield this if we wanted to, get off the next move immediately. And as long as we don't get a defense drop, which we don't in this case, it's only 20% now after the season nerf, we should be able to actually flip this matchup now. As you can see, one crunch is not going to quite do it here for the opponent. They'll have to build up to back-to-back Aqua Tails. And because they of course have a Gastrodon in the lead, I want to get my Drifblim on there. I would definitely much prefer to have my Lucario on whatever's in the back. There's basically nothing worse for Lucario, especially with this moveset of Thunder Punch and Pop. I decided to go for this moveset because I think Thunder Punch is very useful for things like Drifblim here. Pop of course is good for boosting your attack. If you're going to farm like a Drapion all the way down, you can just boost yourself up. I hit the next Pokemon that comes in a lot harder, and I thought this was decent. Now what I decided to do here is stop attacking because the opponent's got some energy. I thought that they might have Water Pulse, so I just didn't want the opponent to get to a Water Pulse on the Gastradon. I decided to go for Shadow Ball immediately here, and Drifblim just hits like a truck. This will look to take out the Gastradon for more than half health. That's good games well played. In the next battle here, we have a Spiritomb lead. This is an unbelievably good lead, because it takes them 8 Sucker Punches to get to their first move. I'm going to farm all the way up to the Thunder Punch here. I don't think this quite one-shots, but it will, of course, get the opponent very, very low. Them shielding's probably best case scenario. They do go for Rock Tomb. They do actually bring in a Drapion here. So I don't have like a direct answer to Drapion on this team. Lucario is definitely the best answer to it. Of course they've debuffed me. I do decide to end up going for a catch here. I know this is just going to be an Aqua Tail, so we're more than happy to take this move right here. And I think at this point we can basically Sucker Punch it the whole way down. We should survive a crunch at this range. They actually go for double Aqua Tail, which is very smart from the opponent here. Very, very good play by the opponent. I basically have to let this go, and more or less hope that Drifblim without a Drapion on the back can do something against this team. We come back into the Lucario, the opponent brings in their own, and I think we're in a fine position here. The opponent's also on Bullet Punch. They shield up the Thunder Punch, and we come into Drifblim here. I decide here, this probably is a Thunder Punch. We're going to shield it up. They do go for Thunder Punch, and because they do go for that, I'm able to outpace to the Icy Wind. They were just getting to the second one. It's straight 6 to Thunder Punch here, so I did have to throw that move right there, unfortunately. Would have loved to farm it down, but yeah, we basically had to do that. Now, unfortunately, they get a huge farm down with this. We can take it out with 1 Bullet Punch, and the Drapion's basically dry. Good games well played. In the next one, we have a Mudshot. Yes, that's right, a Mudshot Toxicroak. A very cool pick in this cup. I think I really like the idea of Poison Sting Toxicroak, just because of its pacing. I guess Mudshot's got the same pacing right, so that could be a very interesting idea if you wanted to try it out. Very, very cool Pokemon in this cup. The opponent brings in Abomasnow, which is not what I would consider to be an amazing answer to Spiritomb. I said to the opponent, Energy Ball me daddy, and he actually full sends the Energy Ball. I was definitely expecting a Weller Ball or an Icy Wind here. We do get the full farm down, unfortunately, not before they reach another move here, and we'll have to take this on the chin on Lucario. Since the opponent's coming back in, they actually come into Drifblim here, which is an interesting play. We go for the Thunder Punch immediately, and we're going to be able to Astonish all the way down. I think that was a weird play by the opponent. I think they definitely should have just came back into the Toxicroak. Of course, having super effective moves. I think that might have been a little bit better. And the opponent, I think, ends up quitting the app. They've got Sludge Bomb on this. They tap the move, quit the app, and that's going to be good games well played. Now, in this next battle, you're going to see what I mean. This is a very awkward matchup. I was hoping the opponent would swap out, so I do one fast move and swap out myself, because this is just horrible. This thing completely walls Drifblim. I'm basically forced to shield, and thankfully the opponent's staying in here. If the opponent had a good answer to this in the back, we'd be basically cooked. Did he actually let that move go? I'm so happy here. And they bring in... What the fuck is this? Purugly? Shadow Purugly. I was streaming these battles live on YouTube. Jamie Finn was there, and I said, Jamie, tell me what moveset this thing has. I need to know. I sort of knew that I had to let this go. We do actually survive that, get an extra Sucker Punch through, and we're going to come in and farm this all the way down. Now, this thing actually has, I think, Thunder, if I remember correctly, and Aurelius. Thankfully, that's just the Aurelius. They come into Gastradon. We come into the Drifblim right away. Now, I am anticipating this to be a Water Pulse. I sort of have to let this go, unfortunately. They do go for Water Pulse, and we're going to go for Icy Wind immediately. Anticipating the opponent coming in for the snipe here. The opponent lets that move go. I'm really happy with that, and we're just in a great position now. We go for Icy Wind on the Gastradon. That'll basically put it into range where we can pretty much Bullet Punch it down. We still have a shield in play. We're in a very good position. I think the opponent maybe should have tried to hold on to their roll a little bit better there. In the next one, Abomasnow lead, fantastic lead. In comes Drifblim, and in comes this. We're going to Sucker Punch this the whole way down. I think this might be IV dependent, or it might be how quickly you swap out. Sometimes they'll reach 2 moves here, sometimes they won't. They Icy Wind me, even with the debuff we can farm it all the way down, and this is pretty decent for me here. We come into Abomasnow, and we go for Rock Tomb right here immediately. This will not quite one-shot them, of course it'll get them very, very low with the Sucker Punches. If they shield here, they're in a very, very tricky position because they're double debuffed. They've got all resisted moves against Lucario, and the opponent comes into Dusknoir. I swap out, realizing I'm not going to make another move here, and basically Drifblim's going to farm this the whole way down. This is very, very simple at this point. I'm going to just basically say GG's at this point. We farm it all the way down with 2 shields. Let me know, guys, what you think of this cup so far. Let me know what you've been thinking about this season. Sorry for not really uploading as much this season as I normally do. I've just been having a bit of a frustrating time with the game. It's just been a little bit low-key kind of boring for me recently. Just the cups have been very, very bad. The Summer Cup Ultra League was very limited. Kind of felt like if you didn't have a Cordilli or a Belly Bolt in that cup, you were just instantly at a disadvantage. I think Great League is in a very funny spot as well, with all of the bug moves being buffed. There's a lot of RPS Pokemon that have been buffed, which are kind of forcing more RPS Pokemon into the meta. You're seeing a lot of Gastradon teams, you're seeing a lot of just kind of toxic teams, Basty's back. It's not really been the most fun this season. Do let me know in the comment section down below. I actually done a tweet yesterday, talking about how they should look to remanage the GBL Cups. Let me know what you think of that. Basically, my suggestion would be that they, instead of using cups with 1 to 5 typings, for example, Psychic Cup's got 1 typing, right? Or Summer Cup, I think, has 5. I can't remember what 5 it was. It was something like Bug, Grass, Water, Normal, something else. Maybe Electric, I can't quite remember, but I'm sure you guys get the point. All of these cups are based on 1 to 5 typings. I feel like in GBL, they need to really reshake things up. In my personal opinion, the best cups in this game are the ones that don't really focus on typings, but focus on something else. So take, for example, Great League Remix. They banned the 20 most popular Pokemon. That, in my opinion, has always been the best meta in GBL. I actually prefer it over Great League, because I prefer using slightly less overpowered Pokemon. OGL's Pokemon that are really good are just kind of overpowered in their positions, right? Like, there can't really be much of a better ground type than Gastradon. There can't really be much of a better Dark Flyer than Mandy. Like, all of the Pokemon that are meta are just as good as they possibly can be, basically, unless you give them ridiculous movesets. They've all got really high damage fast moves, they all generate energy pretty well, so it just leads to a very RPS feeling in this game, in my opinion. I think they just need to nerf a lot of moves into the ground. I think fast move pressure is kind of what's killing the metas in this game at this moment in time, because we have Mud Slap, we have Sucker Punch, which is a counter clone from a few seasons ago, we have Astonish, we have Incinerate, we have Charm, people are back using Smackdown, Bug moves, there's a Bug Dragon Breath clone, some people are still using Dragon Breath. You get the point here. Basically every move is just hitting extremely hard, and it's making it very, very difficult to overcome otherwise beatable matchups that are just RPS, right? Yeah, I think the cups, and I think generally speaking the fast moves of Pokemon are definitely having a bit of a negative effect on this game currently. Do let me know what you think about that in the comments below, but hopping back into the battles here, Spiritomb, we do end up reaching 2 moves here. If you give this Pokemon, by the way, this IV, the IVs I have on this Pokemon are terrible, but like, if you give this Pokemon an energy lead, it's just so deadly. I highly recommend building even a research Spiritomb for this cup. I think it's personally one of the best Pokemon. Definitely like a top 5 Pokemon in this cup. Anyway, Lucario farms down the Drapion. Love to see it. We can take 1 move, shield 1. That's basically how you play that match out. They probably go for Rock Tomb here, but I do want to basically try to pop through this and look to see what we can do here. Yeah, we go for the pop. I don't want to show the opponent my last Pokemon. We bring it back in our Spiritomb, farm it all the way down, and that's good games. Once again, we get a fantastic lead in Drapion. Drapion is really good for Lucario. So I've been playing this out differently a couple of ways, right? Take the Aqua Tail and then go for 4 and CMP. On this occasion, I just go for the pop straight away because they always shield it, so it's just like whatever. I think you should try to get the shield back off the opponent because this is a bit of a misplay, right? So maybe like go for 4 and pop, but I do think going for 4 and Thunder Punch is the correct play. It means you can just match up shields evenly and look to get off some damage on whatever the opponent brings in. Or in this case, it's Gastradon. We have 2 decent enough answers to it in the back, so we do decide to bring in the Spiritomb. The opponent brings in Abomasnow. I'm really happy I saved my Lucario in this case. Spiritomb does win CMP here, or maybe it's just my Spiritomb. You can check that up on PvPoke or whatever, but we do win CMP here nonetheless. A Water Ball will most likely take me out. They actually go for a Zero Bubble Icy Wind. We get a bunch of Sucker Punches free. I swap out, go for the pop immediately with Lucario, and this is basically curtains for the opponent. They do let the pop go. We do get a further move through. I think unless they Energy Ball me, we do survive this move, which we do. The opponent brings back in Gastro. We bring in Drift Bloom. They blind for a move. At this point, I'm thinking, okay, blind Earth Power, blind Body Slam. They actually go for a Water Pulse here. That could prove to be a little bit problematic. Now, I know this is going to be a Body Slam, but I just want to keep some health on this because the Abomasnow is really low. They're not really going to reach another move, and we should be fine to farm that down. Like I said, guys, I highly recommend using Water Pulse in Gastrodon. It just offers you a lot less RPS and a little bit more flexibility. Fantastic lead. The opponent brings in Drapion. Whenever they bring in Drapion, you sort of have to stand against it, even though they have an Abomasnow, which kind of sucks. So I'm going to go for the 1, 2, 3, 4 Thunder Punch. It's like every time I do this, they shield, so I don't know. You can decide for yourself. If you think they're going to let it go, do what I done there. Take the first move, CMP the Thunder Punch. As you can see, we can just CMP the pop at the end here, so it kind of works out fine anyway. I guess going for the pop bait is a little bit risky because you'd be forced to kind of double shield it, or you'd be forced to dump more energy, so it's up to yourself. They come into Gastrodon, we keep this alignment, they come back into the Abomasnow, and we're back in this matchup again. The last time the opponent full sent the Energy Ball, I just kind of realized I won that match despite them full sending, so it's like whatever, I'll just take it. We go for the Rock Tomb here, very easy shield for the opponent, and we're basically hoping that Drift Bloom can look to carry here at this point. We do have the opponent debuffed, we are going to have to take one of these moves, and because they're debuffed, I think we can survive one. I'm not sure which move I'd prefer. I think Icy Wind might have been low-key better for me here, just because it's a little bit slower paced. But them not debuffing me allows me to potentially one-shot this. The opponent's on about 65% health. Can we one-shot them with a Shadow Ball? Yes, we do! Honestly, I thought they would live in 1 HP and take me out, but good games well played to that opponent there. Lucario versus Dripion, once again, fantastic matchup for me. You do not want to see this in the back, and the opponent brings in this thing. This is not a good answer. So what we're going to look to do is go for this and probably swap into our own Spiritomb. We do that. I decide to shield one of these just because the opponent really only gets to one hard-hitting move here anyway. They go for Shadow Ball, that's fantastic. And we can actually Sucker Punch this the whole way down, coming out with an absolute ton of energy in the one shield. They bring back in Dripion, and the opponent's in such a negative position at this stage. Rock Tomb comes in, does about 50% of the opponent's health, and we're going to reach another one. I think if I had slightly better IVs on this, I would probably live this crunch. Unfortunately, we do get taken out. I feel like that was very close. The opponent brings in Gastradon, and that's curtains for them. So yeah, this cup is a bit trash. It's a bit RPS. You're going to see so many Gastrodons, Driftblooms, teams that are just RPSing each other. You're going to see Bibberls. If you're using this Pokemon, you're going to see Bibberl. It is a bit of an RPS trashy cup, but if you're able to predict teams pretty well, you might be able to have some success in this cup. The cool thing about this team is, I felt like whenever I lost a lead, it wasn't a guaranteed loss, and that's definitely a very, very good thing. The opponent brings back in Drapion. It's going to be debuffed for the rest of the match here. They let the move go. Not wanting to be debuffed and having to deal with Lucario. Good games well played. And in the next one, oh no, it's a fairy lead on my fighter, but we've got Bullet Punch. In comes Baby Hippo of all things. I was expecting Hippowdon. I wasn't expecting Hippopotas. This thing got access to Rock Tomb, so we're going to shield that move up here. We're going to get... I'm so scared of this thing, bro. I'm so scared of this thing. They actually just let it go, which is so nice for me. And they bring back in the Togekiss. And we're going to look to go for the Icy Wind. Now, unfortunately, I think the opponent might be able to farm me all the way down and maybe look to threaten a big move on the Lucario. They actually throw the move right away here, which is kind of insane. And we're in a pretty decent position now. Back in comes Lucario, in comes the Gastrodon, and we should be in a fine position here. They have to build, like I said, all the way up to 6 to threaten a move. I go for the Rock Tomb. It's a smart call by the opponent to let this go, but that does so much damage anyway that it's kind of like almost irrelevant. They go for Water Pulse. That's going to be basically curtains for them. As you can see, we're going to be able to farm it all the way down. We get off the Rock Tomb here, and that's GG's. The opponent can shield us if they want to, but Lucario is going to come back in here in a second, and they do farm me all the way down. We get to the Thunder Punch. That's good games. So guys, it's been a very tough season for me. It's been a pretty annoying season. To be fair, like, I've been using a lot of kind of different Pokemon. I've been messing around a little bit, but anytime I have sort of sat down and said, okay, I want to try and grind and do well, I felt like the game's been super RPS this season and very, very hard to be consistent with. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, but it's definitely been quite difficult to be consistent this season. But thank you very much everybody for watching. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe. We hit Veteran today. Hopefully we can make a push on towards Expert, and like I said, very much appreciate all the support on the channel. If you're interested in getting some coaching, I'll leave a link in the description. I do offer that down below. Feel free to check it out. And with all that being said, guys, have a fantastic rest of your day. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you all next time.